Incoming transmission from the future, Vancouver AI Community Meetup.
It would be my pleasure to introduce the first speaker, Lionel Ringenbach, or as we call colloquially in our home, Darling or Mao. I've witnessed Lionel for the past 5 years of a relationship kind of really go through some, like existential moments. And so it's been really beautiful for the past few years, really seeing himself emerge as this creative technologist, as this artist, as this truest expression of Ucodia that I've seen. And so it's really beautiful to see how you've grown and this confidence and this growth. And so last year, if you were here in December, he gave a talk and he was sweating and so nervous up until it. And so now he volunteered himself to talk, which is really exciting. I'm really setting him up well to share this talk that we've been shopping in the house for the past few weeks. So I've heard it a bunch of times, but I'm excited for you to all hear it for the first time. Lionel.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Chris, for inviting me again here. And so tonight I would like to talk about, this talk is What's Up with AI? And that's not a typo, it's really about talking about energy consumption about AI. So how it started for me to get investigate into this is that not so long ago, over New Year's Eve, I went away for 10 days without any technology with me. And I decided that, that's a perfect time for starting training an AI model at home while I'm away for 10 days. And as I started to drive away, existential dread came and I'm like, I actually don't know what I'm doing. Am I gonna have like this crazy bill, or maybe is the house gonna burn down? So I had no idea really. I only heard anecdotes from people saying that AI does this, the AI does that, it's very bad, it's very good. So that was me. I was like, this is fine, this is okay, right? We're gonna make it through. So I realized there was a really blurry picture and I hear a lot of anecdotes around going and doesn't seem there's a lot of grounding always. So I was really curious to investigate what he makes AI power consumption and what it really is. Maybe or maybe not. I don't, So can we go to the next, please? So I'm gonna give a little bit of introduction about what makes AI in terms of like power usage. So the power tools are graphics cards, also called GPUs, and they are the main consumer of energy in the AI workloads. Some of the popular data center models that we have today is like two NVIDIA models where are both consuming 700 watts and 1,000 watts, the new model that they released early this year. There's a lot of power, but it all depends on how much you use it. Also, tensor processing units are becoming more and more popular. It's not very clear how much you're gonna use. Maybe they're more efficient, less. And all traditional computing units are still useful for running AI, but are kind of negligible in terms of power usage. Can we go to next, please? So the type of usage of AI also, to kind of clarify, there is 3 main types. The first is training, and this one can take months or maybe weeks, months, maybe a lot more. It really depends. And these ones are very power hungry because they require clusters of GPUs. For example, GPT-3 was trained on a cluster of 10,000 GPUs, one of those 700 watt GPUs. So it's could be a lot of energy, and they yield what we call the so-called AI models. That's what the training does. Then there's the tuning. Tuning is a way of like improving a model so there's more like short, medium-term running task. They can go for hours or days, maybe weeks if you want, but it's a way of kind of improving on your previously built model without having to start from scratch. And finally is generation. That's the one that you are more using every day in general with like ChatGPT when you ask for a response through text. That's called also inferences. This is like the final short-term running task. This can take seconds, minutes, but now I can see that hours and days can happen in the kind of like video world now where we generate. It can take a very long time. Can we go to next, please? Yeah. And so I started investigating what do the numbers say about like these companies running those big giant players, Microsoft, OpenAI, Meta, Google, Amazon, XAI, and they don't disclose anything. They like to sometimes boast how many GPUs they have in their clusters, like XAI likes to tell that they have 100,000 and they're going to expand to 200,000 this year. We don't really know about how much is actually being used in terms of energy or what is the source of the energies that they use. And no number of GPU count is actually disclosed as well. It's very hard to tell. What I could tell from my estimation is maybe that those giant players are about 1 to 3 million GPUs, and those are like the 700 watts minimum. This is not the one that you have in your computer at home in general. So I thought, let's play a game, a number game of our own. I just tried to think about how could I figure out what the ChatGPT power usage could be, just theoretically. I can't prove that this is real. This is really like a napkin science we're doing here. So Sam Altman was very happy in December to share that they have reached.
Everyone's all just talking bullshit about it, and you're actually trying to figure it out and get to the bottom of it, and actually about it. Everyone else picked up got an opinion and giving us some math, bro. So
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. So Sam Altman disclosed in December, not the numbers, the deep numbers, but the high-level numbers, which are like 300 million users of ChatGPT nowadays and 1 billion requests a day. So I was like, oh, maybe from that number I can get to some idea of how much ChatGPT costs every day. So I tried to run on my machine like calls to ChatGPT over and over for a lot of times with small requests, medium requests, large requests to kind of have an idea of how long does it take to do those requests. And came to the idea that like an optimistic, which would be like a small request, like the best case scenario, request took about 2.8 seconds, which I reduced to 2.2 as a runtime for GPU, kind of like 80%. And the optimistic is that it actually uses 4 GPUs to run that model. It's optimistic, it could be 8 in the pessimistic view. And the GPU power would be 600 for the lowest class of GPUs, not the best of the class. And I came that a single request usage would be 1.46 watts. And in the worst case scenario, 4.4. I read on the internet that people evaluated would be 3.9. So I thought that was probably in the right area. And this means that for running ChatGPT for 1 day, it's equivalent to 1 year of energy usage of 140 to 1,560 US household. The yearly usage for a single day of running it. I thought that's quite a lot. Can you go next? Whoops. Can we go next? So I thought about this analogy. It's probably not right, but why not, Think about every time you run ChatGPT, think like from the moment it starts replying to the time it ends, not when it starts replying. It's like this wall is the computing. It's actually streaming the response, so it's continuously computing as it gives you the answer. It's like running 4 to 8 average microwave, the whole time it is doing. Just think about this, like that's the latest NVIDIA microwave here. Yeah. So it's all relative and blurry to me still. After doing the investigation, it wasn't more clear. I realized that a lot of the numbers are not being disclosed, so it's very hard to tell. But I did find some numbers online, and I heard anecdotes going around, and I found back those anecdotes, or more like numbers online, and tried to verify where those sources came from. So one of them was that data centers is for like all computing, like cloud computing, not just AI. AI is kind of like still a sliver of data center computing. Is about 1 to 1.5 total electricity use, which is estimated to be about 1% of overall CO2 emissions, only for data centers. So it means like AI would be a smaller portion of that. The numbers came from the International Energy Agency, and I heard those numbers over and over. When I looked into their website, they seemed very official, but I couldn't find the source of the data. So I'm still, I don't know, like maybe it's true, I don't know. I found other estimates that said that 2.1 to 3.9% of overall CO2 emission is just AI. So there's a lot more. That's like a seriously large gap between maybe people are more optimistic and more pessimistic. But what I realize is that if those big companies don't disclose their numbers, how could we actually know those numbers? It seems very hard. So it's still a very blurry picture at this moment. I did ask ChatGPT, and it can give you different answers at different times. It does give you different answers at different time. A different AI will give you different answers, so it was not clear what was going on there. Actually, I had Perplexity deny what I was saying about like Salman Man saying it's 1 billion requests, but no, it's impossible. But Perplexity told me it's like, that actually happened. I can't find it in the news. No, it's there. It's like he actually said it. Anyway, maybe also he's boasting numbers that are not real. We don't know, but that's what that was said. So, but I realized that right now we're kind of flying blind. We don't really know. The big companies that doing computing don't really monitor those numbers. I worked in a big cloud providers for many, many years, and I can tell that the CO2 emission was on the pictures, but it was not something very precise, more like a ballpark estimation that we were reporting. So what can we do about this? Is there something we can do about not flying blind? So if you're a builder and you are curious, like into, can I tell what is actually happening in my systems? How much power is it using? Is it what kind of CO2 might be emitted based on where I'm running this computing? There are tools, and they are free. You can integrate with Code Carbon, for example, which is a tool that's made exactly for that. I will present it after that. Hugging Face, for example, the training tools from Hugging Face integrate directly with Code Carbon so that when you train your AI, you will know exactly how much power was used by your machine. And also based on the location of where you did the training, you will know how much CO2 it might be or the energy mix that was going into the training. Cloud providers don't seem to monitor this in a meaningful way. From what I said and what I've seen, it's like kind of a ballpark estimation, but not really precise, when actually the hardware manufacturer provides you a very clear number, like whether it's Intel, NVIDIA, or Apple. You can know exactly to the milliwatt hour how much is your CPU using or your GPU using. So what you can do is locate also accordingly based on the energy mix of your local area or where the GPUs are located. BC is not known to have lots of like GPUs, but we have a good energy mix at the moment. And it applies to all types of computing. I realized going through Code Carbon and implementing it in my local workflows that actually I could tell even any kind of computing usage of energy. I worked in big tech company before cloud computing, and we're very serious about capturing metrics about absolutely everything. But it is not something we ever captured. So I'm a bit surprised that we don't do it because it's actually free to do, and we could know it today. We don't have to fly blind. So this is Code Carbon, and I put the QR code here if you're curious to see, or go to codecarbon.io. It's free, open source. It has no overhead for you to run it. Even on your laptop, you can run it. I've done it on my MacBook, and I can tell now exactly what it does. And it supports all type of computing monitoring to a quite accurate measurement, especially if you have an NVIDIA graphics card. So that's like, for example, when I was training a StyleGAN model, and I could tell how much the training took and how much generation of images was taking. Yeah. And there is currently an art residency that MUTEC is doing. MUTEC is one of the biggest electronic arts festival in North America, which is happening in Montreal in August. And they have currently a call for artists or for software engineers, if you're also more going on that creative side, to actually have projects on how, with the AI Ecologist Lab. If you have any ideas, then I really encourage you to apply. I put a QR code here. You can go to the MUTEC Forum website as well. And please reach out to me if you're interested to work on something. I have an idea. I will be applying for this, so please reach out. Oh.
Stage because again we got a non-gatekeeper here. This is a grant that's still open that you could go apply for and beat him out for or whatever. Like the whole model these days is that like people are like holding on to information about where the money's coming from, where the access is coming from until it's almost too late for you to apply. They'll tell you about it like the day before or something like that. So I just really appreciate you being like, I want collaborators, this thing's open, here's the QR code.
Go or make your own project. They're looking for 2 people outside the west areas, the east area. So anybody in Canada and the west especially, you're welcome to apply.
You're amazing, dude. I got introduced to him very early last year. He's come on, he built the CompoVision thing, which you didn't get a chance to see today, but it's pretty incredible.
It's not really working today. Maybe after that will work. We had a power issue.
Bro, that's what happens when you try to get fancy. Like, it blew people's mind 8 months ago, and then now you're trying to add features and stuff. But like, it's pretty amazing. You put stuff in front of his AI robot eyes, and it makes prompts out of it, based on what it sees. But then it prompts new images based on what you're showing it, based on LLM. Like, turns it into text, sends it up to the model, shows you back images based on whatever you put in front of the thing. You know, it's pretty amazing. Okay. I'm actually not done with you yet, though. Just hang out for one more minute while I smother you with love. So he's heading home to France soon, and he's been a big part of this community. And so he asked tonight, yo, can I do all this stuff? He helped build. He built the stage thingy that Holy Mother of the Void danced in front of earlier. Brought those, got us to get those special light bulbs. He almost set up CompoVision. He did this research here that's like, you guys, so many people talk like they know about how much energy and water and what's going on, and like this guy's like looking into it, giving you facts, first order research. You can take it to the bank, you know. So I appreciate you, bud. We're gonna miss you. Thank you. Thank you, Orain, for a much better introduction than I could have ever done. So.